So just to recap, so last week I think we mostly spent on the configuration management section. Continued with Chef from last to last week topics. Then we moved on to Puppet, and then we immediately jumped on to Ansible. So wherein we spent some quite some time understanding the Ansible. So immediately we jumped on to start writing some playbooks, discuss with multiple extremely simple solutions to moderate to some provisioning playbooks. Then we discussed about roles, took some examples. So I think we also discussed setting up an API, extremely simple exercise like EC2 and all these things. And I remember we also discussed to do one exercise on the Ansible role. So creating 3 roles. One is for LP creation and then EC2 creations. Then install some components there and try to set up the health string, etc., etc. Hope like you tried that, and then please ask any questions if you have, just in case if you're stuck in that task. Anyway, anyone tried or not yet?
I tried until EC2 spin part, so I'll figure out time for half of the next half.
Okay. So EC2 was spinned up, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just ask one simple question. Now, when you write the playbook, okay, so you spinned up EC2 nation. Now you need to install some components inside that machine, right?
Right.
Okay. So my ask is, how do you collect the IP address and address?
I had the same query actually. I discussed with other folks also.
Okay.
We would need those IP addresses to be passed to the next roles, right, in the wrapper playbook.
Yeah, and also you need to add to the inventory. So many things. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So anyone already working in Ansible, probably they can chip in and help us. Anyone? Any ideas if you have? Hope the question is clear. So the question is that, like, for example, as part of the project, Rakesh tried to spin up an EC2 machine. So the ask was that to spin up at least 2-3 machines. Okay, that is fine. I mean, probably in the role itself will supply the argument. Now, the another playbook is that to install some packages inside that. For that, again, what is the prerequisites? Prerequisites that we need the IP address. It has to be in the inventory at least, or something like that, and then install some components. Any ideas from anyone? No problem. Just try to continue working on that angle. See, you can get that. So there is an option called dynamic inventory. Yeah. So just search on this thing. Probably, if you want, I can give you one link. Just please search one blog, which probably will help you. 1 second. I don't know. I mean, I just given you that link. Yeah, I don't know that whether we have that solution for this thing, but yeah, but this is definitely will help you. So the blog is that how to set up Ansible AWS dynamic inventory. So very high level, you need of course Boto3. And anyway, you already might be having an inventory, or go ahead and create one YAML file using public key and all that stuff. Okay, and in Ansible CFG, you need to enable some plugins, EC2 plugins, and inventory stuff. So this YAML now will try to record the IP addresses. So it's like now we have used this, right? So try to see first of all using the dynamic inventory, you were able to get all the IP addresses, etc. there.
Raghu, do you want to share your screen?
Oh, okay. I also share the same link. 1 second. Same link I'm trying to walk with you. 1 second. Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, Raghu.
Okay. So this is just randomly I Google it. I never did this thing for information, but it's actually probably will give you very high level. So what it is saying that install Python 3.4.3. Okay, and then create one inventory at this location. That is fine. Now there is a file should be available, YAML file, and probably I think this is the content of the file. And then it is saying that visit the Ansible.cfg file, which we already discussed the other day, inventory stuff. Okay, try to add these parameters there, enable plugins and all this stuff. And then so probably I think in this particular YAML file, inventory file, I mean, if you follow all this stuff, like the list, when you use this list and all these things, it will start capturing the inventory. So this file, you will be using it as an inventory. And what is this file contains? This file contains this details. So this one, and then you can confirm whether this IP address is correct or not. So then let's follow this stuff. So may not give you exact solutions, but definitely I think it will give you a starting point to create an inventory. We call it as like a dynamic inventory. Make sense?
Where does it capture the IP address?
So I think in the YAML file, it is capturing it seems. That's what I understood.
Okay.
Yeah. So inventory, if you look at this thing, inventory equal to this is the YAML file, and I think this is the content of the YAML file, but not sure if it is complete or incomplete.
Okay.
It's saying that the key and secret key groups is tags and prefixes tag. But what it is saying is that when you use this Ansible-M to test if Ansible is able to ping all the machines returned by the dynamic inventory, that means
okay,
it is already captured.
right.
Captured this one.
Yep.
Give a shot. Probably here and there, you need to tune this.
Yep.
Yeah. This is about, I think, grouping, it's tagging. Yeah, okay. It's about inside the playbook directly. Yeah. Yeah, a couple of little blocks if you read, you can get some idea. But this is top in the list. That's the reason I visited this. Okay. So, and let's move on. Don't want to stop at that. Maven. We'll start with Maven. There's a PPT available. Maven fundamentals.
Raghu, there are two EC2 related YAML files in your repo. One is EC2 spin and another one is EC2 provisioning. So what is the difference from those two?
I think the other one is having more attributes, more elaborative, but the purpose is same. Yeah, one was I think having more control.
Okay.
Yeah, comparatively with the other one. Other one is for the lightweight one. So for practice purpose, so the easy to spin we have used.
Okay, that's the lightweight one.
Yeah, lightweight one. Yeah, to just to get an idea. So I
All
will
right.
get. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you started liking provisioning softwares such as Ansible.
Yes,
One
yes.
of yeah, yeah, I think yeah. So when you need to enjoy first, then only you learn other things. You probably need to compare what you're learning, where can you apply in your day-to-day activities. So that's the most important thing. Because some people will be having some pain in doing their operations. So when we do automatizations, so that the joy we will see is the most precious thing. Right. Okay. So let's go to the one of the main principles of DevOps. Uh, Now, little background about before we discuss anything about Maven, what is exactly this one and all this thing. Uh, but let's just I'll try to will not do a deep dive on that. Maven is a very deep topic because mostly Java developers and all these things they know in and out of that. We'll not spend so much time on that. So, but very high level, we'll try to cover about introduction, structure, some dependencies required by this thing, and then repositories. How do you access those repositories? And then some plugins if possible. ID integration. ID integration, we will skip that. Plugins and ID integration. That is mostly for the developers. So the outline is that first we'll start with very high level overview of this Maven, and then we'll talk about different build tools available. I've intentionally taken out some slides just because it was going so deep in that. Uh, from DevOps, so that is probably out of scope for us. So we'll try to discuss about Ant versus Maven versus also Make also there. Make also we'll try to. Anyway, we have used a couple of Makes exercises in the past, in the last 2-3 weeks. So what that was Source Apache, Make installation, Nagios we have used. Then the best practices. And so manually we'll try to build one sample application, downloading one sample app from the internet. Any sample application we'll try. We'll try to refer open source and try to do that. Then we'll summarize that. So I'm not going to discuss anything about how do you integrate Jenkins, what is that, all these things. That will be the next topic. The next topic. Once like we're done with these things, they will see how do you integrate and all these things. But again, before that, again, you need to understand about CI/CD process. So that there's a prerequisites. Then we will see how to integrate on these things. Probably second half or tomorrow, we'll try to spend on that. So very high level, what is exactly this tool? So this is a build tool. Most of us, I think, know what you mean by build. Otherwise, basically very in a simple, if you ask me to define in two, 3 words, we just produce one artifact. Now, what is artifact again? A component. Okay. Now, what is exactly this? Again, component. This is one more version. So the people, when the layman are really new to this build topic from scratch, in case if you're trying to understand, if you write in a program, the OS will not understand the program. So it has to convert it into binaries because OS only will understand the operating system binaries, right? So how do you convert this thing? So you will, if you remember in your graduation days, you might have heard about this thing. What do you call compiling, and then building the executable stuff, such as exe, etc. So these are the things which we will be discussing there. One second, just that in Discord. Back. So now, is it new to this culture, Maven? No, not new. It is already different build tools for there, uh, which will help us to do binary execution or building and all this stuff. Also, some teams they use it as a project management tool. So it also works as a version releasing um, tracking tool. So that you really will be knowing by looking at the description. So what project we are doing and what it produces, etc. In the Java world, it also helps us to produce some Java docs, other side information as well. Now, who developed and who is the owner of these things? This is from ASF, Apache Software Foundation, managed by them. So they also have their own Maven sites where they manage a lot of repositories and all this stuff and open source, etc. There. Now, what do you really want to use it this one? In Agile SDLC or DevOps, what is that we do? Developers try to build many a times and then try to go for the deployments in the environment. So repeatable builds is what actually they'll be trying to do is that. Or as part of that, each application or each environment will be trying to have some dependencies required. Now, what do you mean by that? For example, there is a grid has to be created inside a page or a component. So grid, it probably requires some, if it is let's say .NET dynamic link libraries, DLLs required, .com, ActiveX. In Java world, we call it as like jar files, or class files, or war files, or very high level EAR files. So these are the archive files basically. So different files are available in different repositories, which is already pre-built and all that stuff is that we need to just download that in our project and start using it. Now this anyway the laptops they'll be doing by downloading, but when they share this code with us, those dependencies will not come, right? So they only will be referring somewhere. What is that somewhere? This kind of build tools, mentioning that these are the dependencies and this is the location from where it has to download. Official repositories will be there, which basically contains anything and everything which is needed by that particular applications. So those some companies they manage their own the local repositories by synchronizing the Maven kind of centralized repository, or directly they can connect to the Maven official public repository outside the internet, their local network. So let's say that you have an IDE Java Eclipse, wherein developers writing some code, or if it is .NET Visual Studio. So you generally no need to again manually go there and type some commands to execute these executables. So you can just say file, compile, file, build. That options I'm talking about. So options will be there. So it is IDE integrated, the kind of stuff. But in the background, this is what it happens. This is you will be having a build tool from where this particular things will be built. You also can integrate with some CI/CD tools such as Jenkins or Cruise Control, or if it is Microsoft platform, MS Build, Visuals, what do we call Azure DevOps nowadays, there in the Microsoft world. So every platform having their own CI/CD tools. So this kind of build tools are tightly integrated with those CI/CD tools such as Jenkins tools or cruise control tools or enterprise editions anywhere. So that flexibility is there with this kind of build tools, which actually makes this is a preferred choice in terms of build options available in the market. Now, is it new? No. So we were discussing about one of the previous build tool, which was very widely used in the market, was ANT. So it was actually not the first one again. It was released uh, as a build tool replacing the make one. The make one, which we spent some time in installing Nagios, installing Apache, source Apache. So basically, make was released. Ant was released in replacement for make. Now why? So if you remember, I mentioned this point when I build some components using make, that they are not platform independent uh, binaries or components. So what do you mean by that? So if you install Nagios on the Linux machine, no, so you cannot copy and move to another flavor of Linux or Windows to say again directly start executing a program. So you need to again compile for that particular respective OS. So just to address this thing, so Ant was designed, which was developed in Java, is the first step towards the cross-platform segment. So the advantage is that unlike your make, the sort of the components or the artifacts which are developed using Ant, because anyway it is Java based stuff, right? They're cross-platform artifacts or components. So that means that you can deploy in Linux, Ubuntu, or Windows. You don't need to again do a compiling and all these things. But it is having its own limitations. It's like very procedural. People, developers used to complain in a lot, saying that it is not looking like a builder, but it's a scripting tool. It's because you have to explicitly define everything, which developers don't like it every time. So because sequence of steps are important, and in case if suddenly one step is missed, so they'll be losing that option. So this is the challenges they were facing here. So that is when exactly as a replacement, Maven was built, released. So which is a full-fledged build tool. So again, here you don't need to have a tribal knowledge. The reason is a lot of implicit functionalities are available. So you don't need to write 10 lines of code, simply write one that implicit functionality, that's it. Also, consistency will be there when we're dealing with tens and hundreds of projects here. And all those transfer dependencies, you can achieve here. But anyway, in Ant also later it was achievable using IV scripting. So later it was introduced that thing. But again, I'll build versioning and all this thing. It is clearly made the Maven as a winner in the build section. Now, pros and cons between Ant and Maven. Yeah, Maven, because of the implicit functionalities, let's say if we are trying to learn for the first time this build section, it will be black box really for us. Because we really don't know what this function is, what it will do, etc. The steeper learning curve. So, and then it's also that convention over the configuration. But yeah, advantages are that ID integration is good. There is very less overhead here no, through the use of the repositories. And then different mindsets, not making them even act like an ad kind of stuff. So yeah, so you can really trace through this ant file easily. That is one advantage with ant. Even though you're new to this world, the scripts which are there in the ant, it can be easily uh, can try to even a layman can understand what it is in case of troubleshooting all this thing. You can easily fix it. Learning is quick in ant. That advantage is there again. But for a large complex project, it's the challenge is that it's like very copy paste intensive, and then it is becoming bigger and bigger. Managing that number of lines of code in ant is a challenge. That is again one of the disadvantage with ant, which was addressed in the Maven again. The typical snapshot I've taken how ant build scripts looks like. So of course, this is build.xml, which will be there in the repo. This is the main file which contains all these things. We really don't know anything about this thing. It looks like some XML language, but I can still figure it out. What is this? So you have one section called project, open and close. Inside that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 subsections. Again, these are all target, open and close, open and close, open and close. So every target is named with some name, clean, compile, jar, run. Inside that, they are the instructions. This is about deleting a directory called build. So if you are from the Java or Groovy based, so you will be knowing what it is exactly. But again, I'll still go through that folder structure just to give you an idea. So build directory will be deleted where exactly the components will be building. And then create a folder called classes here. And then all the source directory, Java's will be will be moved into this particular section called classes under build section. And this is where again the jar files, destination, base directory is this system, and you have a manifesto, a main class, and stuff like that. So this is finally how to run that application called hello world.jar once it is built. So even though we are not well versed with the and we really don't know what it is, all these things, we can still understood that some compiling happening, jar file is created. It is trying to delete the old jar file and copy it to this stuff. Now, if you look at the same thing, if you in terms of like Maven, yeah, a lot of implicit functionalities are there, right? So that means you need to elaborate the code, unlike so for the developer, it will be easy for us. In case if you are a senior developer, you want to write a one pom.xml. Here it is pom.xml, not build.xml. Abbreviation is project object model. That's the abbreviation. So which will have this kind of sections. So where is the repository, XMLNS, XSI, and what was the version which we are trying to build? The 1.1, 1.2, we can increment anyway. And these are the things which is required from the repository, and that's it. We'll download and then we'll compile, and then you get the components. So by looking at it very high level, extremely very high level, there is examples. So what we understood is ANT is very declarative. Maven, it follows the convention or that configuration model here. And lending side and looks easy, whereas Maven it is comparatively not that easy, but again it is focused really around managing the entire life cycle of the project here. So I know we have talked of some dry words in case you are not a developer. If you don't know anything, it will be bouncers because what we do will at a regular interval we'll try to stop and then do some practice on this. So what we do, I'll try to take one machine, then we'll try to set up the Maven part. We'll take some sample application. I'll show you how to build and all these things. We'll again we'll discuss about all this formula XML there. So let me log into my AWS console. Taking any previous machine. It is there. So the prerequisites for them, this Maven installation is that do we have Java or not? Let's check it out. Yeah, so Java, we have, yeah, 180 is available. So I'm just going with the latest edition of Java, Maven. So what did I did? I went with the Java website and then, sorry, Apache Maven website, download this very edition called 3.8.1. But can I also download from any RPM repository? So if you look at YAML script Maven, yeah. So here also, I think in case if Maven is available, directly from here also you can download. So you can go to the Maven stuff. I think the version is there. From here is also you can download, or EPL repositories also if it is there. In case EPL also if it is having EPL also. EPL generally is like mostly some of lots of the lot of the companies they will approve for the EPL. Anybody know what is the abbreviation of EPL? EPL repository. Extra package for enterprise Linux. So here we are doing the first step. So what the first step is? Set up the Maven software. So directly I'm trying to set up manually here. So we'll get an idea of how to set up and all that stuff. That is the reason. Otherwise, uh, nothing else. First step is download the Maven software. I'm trying to download the Tarball series software. Wget the link. So you have this Apache Maven Tarball. I have one notes. Let me see. Looks like notes. My notes is kept it somewhere, but I can still look at the release notes, and then just in case we can find something, we can do that. Or it also should be there in my one of my mails. Let me get that. Yeah, I can. We have one. So I'm just following the notes. But anyway, this is just in case for Java download from Oracle portal. This is fine. We don't require because my box is already there. In case you want to set up any default one alternative stuff, it is mentioned here. Anyway, I'll be sharing these notes with you. With this is we can all skip this thing. This is for production installation setup. Now this is about setting up the environment variable for the Java stuff. Now here from here we have this Maven I have mentioned here. So from Red Hat or CentOS, I'm trying to go to this folder. This is where we will try to set up the Maven stuff here. Mostly our packages are yet installed here only now. So I'm trying to do this extraction, which was there. Home EC2 -user software. We have copied here. So star x z f Apache Maven here. So when I extracted this, what happened? It actually extracted 3.8.1. So it extracted 3.8.1. Now, inside this folder, you will be having all the binaries and etc. So I'm just creating a soft link for this thing. The version, because it keeps on changes now and then. So when we set up environment variable, it will be difficult. So then that's the reason I'm just creating a soft link using ln command. The soft link is created called Maven here, which I will set it the environment variable in the profiles. So hope you know what you mean profile. Profile is nothing but when you log in to a system, let's say through user as root or user as EC2. So these profiles will be triggered. So you can set up profiles to the different user based on the requirement. Now inside this login profile, anyway, we just now exported a soft link. No? That is user local Maven. I'm exporting an environment variable called m2_home. Also, one more thing I'm doing is that the path I am appending the path to the existing path. I hope this this path variable Maven m2 export and all these things you might be already aware. Now because we already logged into the system, this profile is again no need to configure and all these things. So what we do manually, we will try to source it. So source is nothing but triggering the script. Source it, setting the environment variable. That's it. So now it should work. Just check it out. Version. Yeah. Apache Maven 3.81 is now working. So command is mven, and it is also showing that Java 8.18 is also integrated there. So in case if you have not configured the 1.8 correctly, or if it is having older version of Java, you may get error. I'll just share this commands with you, just to keep it directly. So I started from here. Just in case if anybody is doing with me, I'll give you 2 minutes. So let me just wait for a couple of minutes. I've just given all the notes. Just need to execute that.
And the content of maven.sh.
That is also. So, yeah, I just pasted in the meeting chat.
Hi, Raghu. Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. We can configure on a bash profile, means we get any problem like that.
If you configure a bash profile.
Yeah, and like .m2 in Maven home, we will configure on bash profile, means
Okay.
we'll no need to configure like a ECT profile Maven.sh. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That you don't need to do all this.
Yeah. Okay.
So Java, I have not given the path. Hope Java 1.8 is already there, because we are using the same old Amazon Linux only. But just in case if you need help on that, let me know. I'll give you those comments also.
So we do see the MVN version with this last comment.
It is coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Fine. So, which means Maven is ready. We can start working on the Maven now. So we'll take some sample project, extremely simple project we'll take. So what is that we'll do it in my repository. I actually forked one sample project. I'll give you that link called Hello World. Just access that first of all. Hello World. So you can also use the same one. I'll give the link. Just a Hello World sample project. This try to clone it into one of the project folder. So what I'm doing is I'm going to home directory, etc. So let me create a folder called Maven project. Inside that, I'm trying one extremely simple code. So how do you do that? Git space clone. Hope Git is already there in your box. If not, please install it. So hello world, extremely simple code to test it. We download it. Went into this folder. So whenever you visit any of this sample project in the root directory, you should find out this file called form.xml. So what is the abbreviation? We just now discussed. POM. Anyone can recollect? Project object model. If it is and you'll see build.xml. Do you remember what was the file which we have used in make? Configure. Okay. So I'm new to this. I really don't know what is form.xml. So let's visit this thing. We did just now discuss in our PPT how this typical prom.xml looks like. So you will be having XML and access some options like this is your central repository. What do you mean by central repository? Okay, search for it. Maven central repository. We go here. This is where so all the Maven this thing which is required by so and so dependencies and all these things can be found. For example, like randomly I'm searching for some Java. I don't know what is exactly, but yeah, I'm just searching. So a lot of dependencies listed here, 11,000 dependencies. So if I'm a developer, okay, if I required this particular some I don't know LY count SDK, but I'll click on this. Then I'll collect all the details. What is the artifact ID? What is the latest edition? And then etc. etc. And then in case if I'm interested, I can look at all this stuff. You want to manually download? No, I don't want manually download. Let my Maven download that from here. So similarly, you will see lot of dependencies. So based on the requirement, the developer will write those dependencies here. Now, so those addresses are mentioned here. And what is the version which we are trying to build? 4.0 or something like that. Right. Okay. Now these are the things which we'll discuss in coming slides. So these are some of the mandatories. So such as group ID. So if you go to your this thing, this is your group ID. And then artifact ID. This is where from where you have to download artifact ID. And then packaging. Which one you're using? We are using form only. And this is variable versioning. What version you want to create it? Create the output snapshot. 2.1, 1.00, likewise, anything. Now, this is what description Maven project. A sample Maven project with working deployable site. So this is some domain name it supports, and that's fine. This is some of the properties. Sorry, this is model server web app, and the web app will go. This is some distribution management system, and then compile plugin, source target 1.6. Okay, release plugin, and then some of the reports plugins, and then these are the some of the plugin managements. So this is generated by the developer through IDE when they were they tried completing the program and all that stuff. So this is some dependencies which are required to download. So they were there in the laptop, the developer's laptop or desktops, but it was not here in this code. No, these are the dependencies it has to download. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this is very big. That's it. So this is very a simple formula XML. Yeah, so not even having how many lines, very few lines. Otherwise, yeah, it will be very lengthy, and then you'll be seeing a lot of dependencies based on the requirement. I'm not doing anything here. I'm just checking what is formula XML. Inside your web app also, this is where web application is there. Now you'll be having one more formula XML. This is more appropriate one comparatively. That was very global level. This is application level. Here we could see one packaging called WAR file. That means the output will be the WAR file. Now, what is WAR file? Yeah, web archive and all these things, but that is fine. If you are new to this, it'll be bounces. No, I'll put a one diagram. So from the Java world point of view, you'll be having a WAR file. Sorry, year file, and this is your WAR file. And this is your jar file. So this jar file contains Java class, Java classes, basically, those level Java classes, etc., etc. Now, when you look at the WAR file, in jar the code will not be there. This is where the developers will be writing the code. No, when you build a WAR file, it is jar plus code. But it is a very complex project, very enterprise level kind of stuff. We cannot wait for that to complete. Sometimes it will take some hours to get there. The system will go all this stuff. No? So WAR is for enterprise level, very large complex, right? Where you have WAR plus enterprise application required. This is here, my bad. Yeah, enterprise artifacts. Then coming back to our exercise, we are saying this is output is WAR file. So mostly in real time, WAR file only will be used. So Java classes jar will be there anyway. Now this is about build and some dependencies required by these things. So this particular only 2 dependencies are required. This is sample one. So it will basically reflect that in the web app only. But anyway, let's wait and watch. Before that, let's just complete some topics about this thing. Okay, we just now discussed what is Maven, how is main different from other tools, where to go and all this thing. LOL, we will do that. We're already done. We just need to execute the command. That's it. But before that, let's just discuss about some structured dependencies, repositories, plugins, etc. here. The folder structure of this particular Java code. And Ruby code, all these things, we need to have some very high level knowledge on that folder structure, which we'll discuss now. Also, that form file basics we are discussing now. So, what are the sections we have? So, we'll get some details about this form file, and then basic commands and goals, which we generally use to build our projects, etc. And what do you mean by dependencies? What do you mean by local repository? We'll try to discuss. The first one is the Java folder structure. So whenever you refer any Java world, you will be generally will be seeing one folder called main Java. This is where the source and everything will be residing. Now we also have target, and we also have format.xml. Now in format.xml we have seen target. We have seen this is where build will happen, and we'll create the binaries. Same thing if you look at any other folder, the most it will be the same thing. So where are we store our Java code? So and then what about other languages and all these things we'll see. So target where everything gets compiled and where test gets ran from. Content in the directory get packaged into var, jar, ar, etc. But when we refer pom.xml, yeah, this is where the things are different. So we have seen this sample code, but the sample code basically can be divided into majorly 4 basic parts. First one we have seen XMLS repository and all these things. But anyway, this now look at the project information. We just now discussed. Now we can visit the Maven.search repository where you will find the details also. But before that, the same structure you also see that here that in a group ID, what is application, artifact ID, etc. also will be there. So the syntax will be same for dependencies also. Here dependencies also will be having direct dependencies. We can refer this particular thing in your application in case if you have internet access. If you don't have internet access, in company you'll be having a repository. You need to synchronize this the Maven repository there and place it over there. And also you'll be having some plugins to build directory structure repositories. These are the 4 sections you'll be having context. XML. Dependencies we have to see. So each application will be having a unique requirement and the dependencies. So what we want to use in our application, it imported by the naming convention. So mostly the non-developer will be like having some confusion on that, whether it is available or not. This is where most of the builds will fail. So we have to have good some idea whether this is available or not. So we have to refer that in case if it fails. Even though you're not a developer, you probably will be knowing what is happening. So what we have to know, we have to know the group ID, artifact ID, and the version what we are looking for. All this has to be added to the pom.file. We will be not doing again. It will be supplied with the developer. So just try to list all the dependencies that we'll learn, and then anyway all the transitive dependencies will be pulled by Maven from the repository. So they at least try to have 3 parameters: group ID, artifact ID, version at least 3. Otherwise, mostly 4 things, right? It's okay. Even if you supply 3 also, it will try to pull it. So now, because we already added now dependencies, the first thing is XMLNS report, and then the very high level the format.xml project details, such as group ID and all these things. Finally, the dependencies here section. Open the dependency, close it, and then I have this particular stuff. Now, in the Maven part, you will be having some codes. So, what is the target directory? Target directory is where it will download the code and then it will generate the resources. This is where most of the things is required. So you have to have a good space here. Now, every time when we build for testing, then every now and then, it unnecessarily occupies the space. So before you executing a new Maven, it is can be used to clean the target. And the second one is compiling up command. So this is by naming convention itself. So it will compile the entire source code, and then it will generate so many files, copies resisted to the classes directory. So you also have one more parameter can be separated with Maven called package. First it will compile, and then it will test, and then package the app based on its the packing type. Where is packing type is defined? In the XML we have seen, right? It is jar file, var file, ER file. So now it is updated. So try to install the package command and then in your local repository here. So finally try to do the deployment. So it will run the install command and then deploys into the corporate repo. So it will not directly go to the server. In that case, this is what will happen. So when we have this type of goals. So generally people will not use compile and package. I say when you use clean means yes, that's fine. There is no dependencies. But if you use package, it will compile and package. If I use install, it will compile, package, and install. So if I want to do clean, right? Clean space install. So it will contain cleaning and as well as compiling, packing, installing. Or if you want, you can also do clean and deploy. Any questions on the codes? This is what we will be using in our real time. So we have already have some sample budget and everything in place now. So Maven is also configured. So let's do that. What is the goal? Maven clean install. What clean will do? We just now discussed. No? It will delete the target directory inside the source code, just in case if it is having anything. Okay, it got an error. What is that? Closing the form, non-resolvable. Not when artifact. Project. So what is there? Parent relative path point set a wrong local form. Line number 6. Okay. Where is the line number 6? If this it seems not available or what? We check it. I took some another repository, just a game, one small game it is trying to build called Game of Life. Again, here a lot of things are there, unit testing and everything is also there. So it might take some 3-4 minutes to complete it. So we'll give some time to complete the process.
Hello, Raghu, I have one query. Hello, Raghu.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was on another call. I was on mute. Yeah.
Okay, Raghu, actually, this Maven automation build, most of the time used for Java.
Right, right. Yeah.
Okay, so like in front-end technologies, we have Angular and React, right? So these technologies will support their own build system.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how can we integrate those technologies build in Maven? So do we really require Maven in that point of time
No,
for
no, not
Angular
required.
or React?
No, not required.
Not
So
required.
yeah, yeah. So Angular build, so generally in all these things, that is again, it'll be having its own, right? So that you generally we use Angular that CLI command. I'm not
Yeah,
very sure, but
build.
but
Yes,
yeah, so you have this
NPM build.
in npm build and all these things. So basically, every like AngularJS or you name it anything, so they have their own build process. So
Yes.
that you need to configure. But anyway, why Maven is so popular is because that this is was a Java world, right? So that is the reason. And then here, why do we just stressing on this thing that manually you should know what is happening in the background. Later, when we integrate with Jenkins, we'll see the advantages. How so whatever we are right now doing manually, so that will be automated with the Jenkins.
Okay. Even Angular build or React build also we can automate with use of Jenkins.
Yes, yes, it is possible. Yeah,
Okay.
Jenkins. What is Jenkins is required just a plugin. So if you can get me a plugin, yeah, we can do that stuff. So probably while working on that, so just we'll take some sample of your Angular project. So just explain me how do you manually build. We'll try to figure it out how to set up a plugin for that.
Yeah, that will help. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this we just now discussing with you, I guess, like this is again just to give you a prototype. So it's not that Maven can do anything and everything. Like for example, .NET applications. We don't use Maven there. We use MS build. But can I also do with Maven? Uh, Ideally, straightforward, no, but there is a workaround. That's second different story. But we don't generally use a Maven for .NET and all this stuff. Now, but it supports most of the languages. It supports Groovy, it supports Java, which is a major chunk, right? And then it also supports some other programming languages. So if we go to Maven Wikipedia, and we'll be knowing Maven or supported languages. What plugin language does Maven support? Okay. As of the current release, Maven supports Java, Bean Shell. Anyway, Java is a prepared language. That's what we know. And then it supports Groovy. And then everyone, these are the things very high level as of now. But there are people who actually, do Maven for multiple stuff. So they do a lot of workarounds, and then they will different languages they can insert here. So insert languages. So even I have seen some of the guys they are able to even insert .NET also. Amazing. I mean, so and I wondered like, wow, this is really good actually. So I think the language Maven.NET. Take this one code project. So some guys like did this as well using Maven. They're able to you can visit this thing. So what is exactly we just need a POM file. So give me POM file. Maven will do this thing, but POM file .NET and other XML you need to write it. So .NET what to do, you do this way. You probably need to .NET how to compile and build. So that you need to mention this stuff. These are like some workarounds. People generally use it with Maven. So otherwise, yeah. So Maven is just a build process. It's not only for one, not limited only for Java, very high level. We come back here. So how do you read these things? I mean, we are not a developer first of all. Yeah, we are still in a process. We are not a site reliability engineer, SREs, right? SRE will know everything and anything, but here the expectations also is that we should help the team because when we automate later, this is of course we are doing baby steps here. When it become complex and complex, we should know what is happening, where it will fail. Here in this case, this is success wherein he used to build core web and all the stuff. but unit test and all these things you need to be very familiarized. Now, how do you do that? No, we are only interested right now at this particular war file. Now, we just now discussed, no, target is a folder where the war file will be deployed. So let's just see whether this is working or not now by going to our server. So I think we have Tomcat also there here. Tomcat is up and running. Let me deploy the this thing, copy, war file, web apps. I deploy it to the web apps folder. Game of live. Is it extracted? Not yet. Yeah, it's extracted. So access this thing from outside. Game of should be able to access the application. So that is a sample project we downloaded from internet. I've not built this code. So this is deployed like web application basically. But even web application, mostly nowadays all the companies or all the businesses are web applications only. We are accessing all apps through browsers only. No? We don't have any legacy or standalone apps nowadays. So yeah, so here of course you will be knowing how much time it took. So 3 minutes, but in a real time I've seen 40 minutes, 50 minutes projects also. So, and then it also having a lot of implicit functionalities such as building is there, core and all this thing. Just go through that and see what is there inside actually keep that particular form file. Okay, this. Go to form.xml. Of course, this is not right. Web is the one. Yeah. But before that, we'll check few more parameters here. Here the form.xml, which is referred. So this is artifactory game of fly. This is the var file. It is mentioned clearly, and the output name. And that is what it is mentioned. This is just a group ID. The person who built this thing, I think, Vocalia. So this is a ZT port number in case if it is referring that. This is build process here. Plugins, dependencies, sections. I think dependencies section will be started here and dependencies here. So how many dependencies are there? So many dependencies. Spring framework, servlet, etc. Many things are there here in the actual web section. If we come out of here, at the root level, you'll see a target folder. There is, but I think this is not one. So we go to web only. Inside that, you should see one more target file. This is where our application war file is built. When I do next time Maven clear install, this entire folder will be cleared, trashed. Again, it will be built based on this stuff. Yeah, so there are test classes, secure file, so many things are there. We are not discussing as of now all that stuff, but otherwise, this is how this thing. And then what you did, you manually did the deployment. So fine, we did some demo. Let's talk about little details about the Maven stuff. Is local bin Maven. This is the local Maven. So this is where the most of the configuration is available. So let me go to con. Now what is there inside that? So we have settings.xml, tool chains or logging, etc. for troubleshooting purposes. So I'm interested to know about settings.xml. So this is the main configuration for file for the Maven. Self-explanatory file, you just need to spend some time, but I'm going to discuss the most important things. Now this is the home repository default path. Right now it is configured here. And then if you just scroll down and this proxies, and in your real time, generally we will not be having internet access. So a company will be providing some proxies wherein you can supply the credentials to talk to the internet and get it that at least that Maven repository access. So the RESTP protocol. So how do you do that? You come here and update the user and password provided to your company. So then you can authenticate to the Maven server because most of the clients will allow that stuff. And also in this section, you also have a section called deployment. Where it is. We're not doing anything with that, but yeah, you also can go for Artifactory deployment here. So whether you want Maven to connect to a network of a building or some downloads, etc., or you want me to deploy to a server, yes, or a user or a repository, give me those deployment report user, report password, etc. Everything is also can be done using Maven, even though it is not widely used. Okay, why? Because Jenkins is took over. Now the question is, if I have Jenkins, I don't need Maven. Answer is wrong, not correct. Use Jenkins is a user interface. In the background, it will connect with the again Maven only and do the same stuff. So Jenkins is a skin kind of stuff. It will not have its own engine. It is not having any mechanism here. Give me a 5 minutes time. 1 second. I'll just be back. Yeah, I'm back. Okay, so I think most of you might be tried, and I think this is extremely simple projects we have tried, but yeah, so even you can real time also you'll be trying these things. Now, so what is that we have done? We downloaded some software from Gate, we configured Java, we installed Maven, we created war file, and then war file, it was there in my local file, and we installed application server. We did the deployment. Basically, it is a kind of no, series of tasks which we executed just for deployment, but multiple times you will be doing this thing because in agile SDLC model, developers dealing with multiple environment, multiple applications, many a times they'll be doing this particular deployment to test some functionality, do the debug, and etc. etc. Now, how do you automate this process? Yeah, so some people in the olden days, so they used to write some scripts. So whatever we are doing right now, the write a script and all this thing, but that's not an effective way of automating the process. So exactly to address this issue, we have a tool called Jenkins. So little background about this Jenkins. We'll be spending at least next 1 or 2 days on this thing. But it's a very big uh, exercises to learn Jenkins because entire DevOps revolves around Jenkins. But very high level, today we'll try to discuss about this thing. It's just actually written in Java, open source. This is, anybody know who was developed? This is by this person, Kosuke Kawaguchi. So he was actually an employee in Sun Microsystem. Yeah. So because right, Java is again from Sun Microsystem only. So because this is a repetitive task, we thought that he will automate this process using this particular some graphical user interface tool. I mean, one of the best tool Jenkins, which actually I liked it. Man. I mean, actually I started working from 2010, but this was started in a way Lego. It was initially not a Jenkins, but Hudson. So it was later in 2011, I guess, renamed as Jenkins. So the reason behind this thing is, the story that Sun Microsystem was acquired by Oracle. So there was a difference of opinion on that because Oracle don't want to continue this as an open source Hudson. They want to make it as a commercial tool, and then which Kosuke and Kawaguchi team, they did not in sync with that particular decision from Oracle. So just to avoid any legal issues, so they renamed that as Jenkins project in 2011. So that it continued all the stuff. But later, what happened? Hudson and the Oracle tried to commercialize, but it did not properly click. And think later it was discontinued. So this was a little background about that. So when was it was absolute and discontinued is 2017. It was announced as an absolute in February 2017. So otherwise, the UI and everything it is same, exactly the same stuff. What we generally use it in our Hudson in the earlier stages. So that's the reason some plugins even now today, which is actually having extension called HPVO. Hudson plugin, HPI, I guess. Hudson plugin, stuff like that. So that's the background about the Jenkins. So yeah, what do you mean by build? Build can do webhook and scheduling, all these things. Everything is possible here. And then installation, I don't want to discuss anything about this thing, but installation is very straightforward. So today we have some time. So what we will try to do, I'll simply just try to show you how to install Jenkins and start the process just to get an idea. So this is my machine. Now, is it Jenkins available in any of the repository? Let me just check it out. Because Jenkins manages separate repository, so it is not available in Amazon or anything. Yeah, so it's not there. So just go to the installation page. By the way, this is an official site of Jenkins, jenkins.io. So this is an official logo. Just in case if you are new to this thing, so this you'll be seeing this thing in the Jenkins software many times. The documentation also available in case you are interested. It's okay, I think you can slowly learn about Jenkins. No need of investing time on learning the documentation at this point of time. So what's this? I think CentOS edition. So just or Red Hat. So I'm going to the official wiki link only. Jenkins. That's the best option instead of going here and there and then struggling. Sometimes it will not work. So better, you go to the official one. This is an official link, wiki.jenkins.io, wherein you can search for install Jenkins on CentOS or Red Hat. Mostly anything is fine. So when you look at the installation of Jenkins, you have a weekly edition. It will always update the weekly edition. Not everybody will prefer in the standard environment. And you have another edition called LTS version. So long time support, we call it as abbreviation. Is mostly people will go with this thing because I think 6 months is what actually they will not change this product. This LTS edition. So that is more sufficient and more than any nowadays in the dynamic world. So we will be using LTS only. And this is about the how do you set up Java in case you don't have Java nation, and that is fine. We don't require that. If we are using any on-prem environment, how do you configure firewalls and all these things is listed here. And yeah, it is all about these things. So now let's take this LTS edition. There are 3 commands. One is first set up the Jenkins official repository. So right now we don't have the repository. Let me configure the repo in my box. Check it out. Repo list. So we should see that Jenkins one. Huh? Yeah, Jenkins stable edition repositories is installed. Now first download the key, which is required to unlock this thing. And then finally install Jenkins from the above repository. Anyway, it is already there. So this will download the software close to 60 to 70 MB, 67 MB. It is there directly from the Jenkins repository. It's a free one. Anyway, key is already there. Yeah, this is a Jenkins repository's installation is always comparatively slow because it is having its own open source repository. Yeah. So finally, it is ready. Whether this is one way of installation, native Jenkins installation, or you can also download because this is Java program. You can also download the WAR file and put it in your Tomcat server. So what you can do, you can search for download Jenkins WAR file. So some guys, they also do that as well. Yeah, so it's just easy comparatively. Stable LTS edition, and then go there. So download Jenkins to .2. So which edition? Maybe things set OS, right? Search on it, and then okay, this is repository or to configure. Then download the WAR file. So this is also one possibility is there wherein you can look for LTS edition WAR file and then put it in the this thing, and that is also there. Fine. Anyway, we install already native installation because we'll be spending a couple of days on this thing, coming sessions. So, and the prerequisites and all this thing, Java is there. Java 8 is required, which is already there. 1.8 edition is there. And then also this port number 8080 has to be available right now. So here Tomcat is already using this thing. So that's the reason for now I'm actually stopping Tomcat here. But otherwise, you can actually change the port number also Jenkins. Where do you do that? All the stuff. I mean, you can go to this config Jenkins file is the main configuration, right? Where you can refer the port number. So you can modify the port details there. So this is where the port number is everything. It's this main configuration. Right? We'll come back to this thing later. And then in case if any installation issues there, so you can look for some log location, the main log location. Let me just see that. So you can go to /var log Jenkins, and there is Jenkins log is not there. So you should see one Jenkins log file, mostly for the location. We can also look at the UI interface also. So yeah, anyways, that we'll check it out once that is there. And then this is the home directory where the most of the repository jobs and everything will be dumped here. So you can, we don't have any jobs right now. That is a home location. That is where you can change anything if it is required here. And yeah, we were referring about the port number. No, this is where the port number, if you want, you can modify. So you just spend some time. This is the main configuration file. So generally people, anything and they want to check it out and all these things, they'll come here. Okay, looks like Jenkins access log is disabled. That could be the reason it is right now. Now we're not seeing anything. So here now, yeah, we just start Jenkins. I think just see whether it's working or not. So it is working. This now it is started. So in case if you want to check it out, anything, what is happening and all these things, this here we can check it out. And now you can start the Jenkins and all these things also. We will not do anything installation here right now. 8080 is the port number. No, I'm not doing anything here. I'm just demonstrating this thing. So by default, one unlock Jenkins is there, which is there in this location. So if we just cat this file, this also will be used to say change the admin password and all this stuff. Admin password and all this thing. So this is an admin password is there. You just punch in one time just to unlock this thing. So you'll be redirect to plugin page. So this will take time. A lot of time it will take. So there are two options. One is install suggested plugins and install selected plugins. For example, if I go to selected plugins, it will ask you what are the plugins which you require. So mostly advanced users, they will come here and they'll select what the plugins were required here, default plugins. Yeah, so and then from the organization point of view, from the build features point of view, tools point of view, what do you need? You need add Gradle. But Maven is not there. You can again this thing. So all Jenkins is based on plugins only. So the number of plugins, the more flexibility you will be having. So you need to get exposed to at least some 10-15 plugins. So that is our goal. And then learning the plugin, configuring the plugin, connecting that, setting up CI/CD, automation is what I said. Then the major Jenkins, major part in learning curve in the Jenkins. So that is where we need to focus. Not on the installation by anyway, but yeah, this is for integration. So if I go for suggested plugins, you will get some default plugins installed. So we'll talk about that in tomorrow's session. Yeah. So right now at this point,
And Raghu, these plugins we can install in any time, right?
yeah, we can do that even after post installation also. So that is also there. So right now I have not installed any plugins. So you can go to manage plugins and you will have manage plugins option. So this is where you can search for all the plugins which is required and then go ahead and install. So right now it is empty, no plugins installed. So that is also you can do mostly in real time enterprise edition. you can install plugins which is required and then start doing that, playing it like that.
Okay, Raghu.
Bottom right, you will see what is the edition we have installed. So Jenkins 2.277.4, that is the edition we have installed. We did not configure any username and all these things, but then this we'll try to play with all this stuffs here. Some companies, what they do, generally they change this UI page. So they'll develop their own UI, but in the background, the engine and everything is same for information.
Oh, so we can customize this UI page.
Yeah, you can do whatever you can. Also, you can change some, add some company-related functionalities also. I one example recently I was delivering this session to one of the team in JP Morgan. So their UI is completely different. So it's all, they have their own product name. I don't recollect what was the name, but yeah, just for information.
So there will be no legal issue even if we change Jenkins logo and
Correct.
if we keep our logo.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, since it's a open source.
Open source, yes. Any open source you name it. Say all and everything it is free. You can do anything, whatever you want to do. Okay. So any questions from anyone? All right. Okay. So we'll stop at this moment. So we'll continue Jenkins in the next couple of sessions. We'll be doing a lot of exercises on this thing, projects. So please set up your entire Jenkins setup, and then we will be trying to explore all the Jenkins options and then integrating with, let's say, Ansible, integrating with cloud, integrating with all this stuff. So even containers also we have to integrate, but again, container we have not done. So that part we will pass for some time, like, because container I have to introduce you. So then once the container is introduced, I will also resume the activity in the Jenkins, how to build images using applications and all these things. Yeah. So mostly we'll be trying to build at least some extremely simple projects to complex projects in Jenkins.
Okay, sure.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's all from my end. So if there's no questions, feel free to drop off. So we'll catch up tomorrow then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.